Welcome to Perspectives, where we take a deep dive into the issues of the day and where we take a look at people's opinions on such issues. I am Bruce Osime.
And I am Olatorera Majakodumi Oniru. Our topic today is life after office. We have a very special show planned, so stay tuned while we get started.
A famous businessman once said, "Whoever sits on the chair is my boss." Simply put, while on that chair, you are relevant, but once out, you are history. Truth is, no matter how long you spend in power, you must quit one day, voluntarily or involuntarily, when your time is up. In a continent plagued by old leaders who came into power as young popular leaders but grew into dictators, democracy is still sailing on rough seas. And as for those who do not have a second address, when they are no longer politically relevant, a dislocation in the chain of their financial inflows can cause huge stress levels for them. Nigerian politicians, after they leave office, continue to hang around the seats of power. But not all of them are like that. There are those who have actually moved on successfully with their private lives after leaving office. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, for instance, former minister, is now the DG of World Trade Organization. Akiwumi Adesina, former Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, is now the President of World Development Bank. Also, former presidents such as Nigeria's Olusegun Obasanjo, Thabo Mbeki, among many others, are playing various influential and diplomatic roles and contributing to the peace and stability on the continent. As humans, we should have a natural desire to leave our mark on the world, to make a difference in the lives of those around us. But how do we do that? By aspiring to inspire before we expire.
By aspiring to inspire. Very well said. Success in leadership election, tenure, and after office of any and every position is pivotal in shaping the destiny of any country. A leader's quality of life after office is many times a reflection of his accomplishments during office and the strength of democracy with which the baton was passed on. In measuring long-term success, we monitor results from economic performance, infrastructural investments, transparency, financial health, industrialization, and democratic actions as cornerstones of effective leadership. Epitomable leaders have unique characteristics of visionary intelligence, integrity, courage, and selflessness in prioritizing the health, wellness, and progress of citizens while championing justice and liberty during and after office. They leave behind legacies of national unity, sustainable development, transformative policies, and a commitment to fostering unity, peace, and international harmony. For such leaders, how is life after office? Many contribute to raising the next generation of leaders by teaching and speaking extensively. Many write memoirs to share insights, and many establish foundations that tackle global issues. Many great leaders continue to diplomatically advocate for causes they are passionate about to advance a better world. Ultimately, the path chosen after office by a former public servant reflects their values, their strength of leadership, and their dedication to making a positive impact beyond their time in office. We have two special guests today here to provide insights into their lives after office. But right now, let's proceed to watch this unique report on life after office.
Public service officers in Nigeria and around the world are mostly idolized by their subordinates and followers. When they occupy a particular position in government, they are revered and adulated by people. But one thing some public servants dread is life after service. A life where they no longer call the shots or hold a position of authority. In Nigeria and in some African countries, many politicians never retire. Even when they are old and are no longer useful in the system, they always prefer to die in the corridors of power. A few politicians only go back to the original trade after their exit from politics. Only a few move on with their lives without hanging around the power corridors of Nigeria looking for crumbs from the master's table.
And I can't know other country I can go to and say, yes, I have come to live here.
Unlike in some parts of the world, where professionals who venture into politics go back to their trades after their tenures in government, Nigerian politicians, after they leave office, continue to hang around the seat of power and refuse to engage in other meaningful jobs. At best, they become overnight contractors and consultants. In advanced democracies, where governors contest for higher positions as president, the reverse is the case in this part of the world. After serving 2 terms as governor, an average Nigerian politician contests for senatorial seats, not necessarily for service, but as pension to remain relevant in politics. To career politicians, politics is seen as an end in itself and not a means to an end. Today on Perspectives, we will be discussing what causes politicians to hang on dearly or seek any political office to remain relevant. Is it the fear of the unknown that normally drive them into seeking to hang in on political positions to death? Or the fear that they will no longer command the respect of the people they once governed?
Only one person. Now, wow.
Or is it a lifestyle change after leaving office that they dread?
It's funny that I was watching this. The truth of the matter is that, I mean, they always say it's best to leave when your ovation is at its loudest. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing worse than a degrading finale of now becoming almost like an eyesore or a pest after you've left service, you know. And I believe that, yes, a lot of politicians would rather die whilst in service or whilst being in active politics. But there are those who have left and moved on to greener pastures. Right. And there's a lot of respect for people like that. Like, you know, like I said earlier, the likes of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the likes of the Akumu guy, and additional Akumu guy. And there are quite a few.
We have to mention President Obasanjo.
Exactly.
Who went on to establish his foundation and also the Presidential Library. And he's become this godfather figure, or this father figure of the nation, where people go in to consult with him.
Elderly statesman, where people come and seek you for advice. I mean, people need, you should live in such a way where people still seek you for advice, or, you know, to tell them what to do or show them how to go about certain things, rather than you call and they're rolling their eyes and thinking, oh, God, what does he want again? Do you understand? Yeah. You should know when your time is up and know when to live with dignity.
I agree. But a lot of positions in Nigeria, many people that run for office are going in just to enrich financially. So when they come out of office and the financial wealth is reducing, they're like, okay, where are we going?
Yeah, which is why you
so they start to strategize, because it's a career for them.
But you
That's
should
how
have
they make their
business.
living, and they enjoy the lifestyle too.
Yeah, but you should have a business that you were doing before you entered politics.
Many don't.
Then you can get back
Majority
into.
do not.
That is why we have the issues that we have.
Right.
Anyway, we're heading for a short break. When we return, Babatunde Fashola, Nigeria's former Minister of Works and Housing, will be joining us. Stay with us. It is time to introduce our first distinguished guest, Babatunde Raji Fashola, a lawyer who was conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Nigeria's highest legal distinction. In his period of public service, he served as Chief of Staff and Commissioner in the Lagos State Government, 2-term Governor of Lagos, and in May 2023, mysteriously concluded serving a second term as Minister of the Federal Government of Nigeria, having first been appointed in 2015 and reappointed in 2019. As a public servant, he has served with no less distinction and dedication and has been acknowledged locally and internationally for his dedication and service. Great to have you here.
Lovely to have you. Welcome.
I don't even know what
Thank you for having me.
Should I call you Honorable Minister or should I call you Governor? Anyone, sir. So great to have you here. I am so happy that you honored my invitation. Okay, let's start. You have said you have resigned. Let me even ask, have you resigned from active politics? Because, you know, in America as well as Nigeria, politicians are there and they would, until they are using their walking stick to walk into their offices. They never want to leave. But you have decided to stop active politics at a relatively young age. So now that you're not there anymore, is it safe to say that you have a lot more time in your hands? And if so, what do you now do that you couldn't do before? What do you now do that you have spare time, more spare time in your hands?
Okay, there's a politician in every one of us, so it's not stopping active politics. I'm still a politician, and politics for me is a noble undertaking. But in terms of the 9-to-5 job, getting up and going again, I think my tenure of service has ended, happily so. And it ended at that time. I was going through some pain, long hours of sitting, so it was just a good time to let it go.
What were the hours like? I'm curious about that. Because I hear in Abuja, 3 a.m. is when you start some meetings.
Well, it wasn't, well, I didn't go to 3 a.m. meetings, but for me, over the last 21 years, my hours were 3 to 4 hours sleep, really.
Wow.
And so I use Saturdays and Sundays to reboot and restart again. So that was why I literally seemed to have disappeared from the social scene on Saturdays, and because I was just partly rest day and also work, because the files, the mails, the problem never ends. And as somebody famously said, nobody finishes the job. So you just keep going. So I ran my race as hard as I think I could.
You've been very active in politics for over 2 decades, 20 plus years. And so I'm sure this must be like a significant change for you. This is probably the first time within the past 20 years that you're not in an active position. What is day-to-day like for you?
Day-to-day is good. I sleep more. I still sleep late because I'm not naturally an early sleeper. But now I do things that I want to do rather than keeping my head down at a desk and sitting down long hours at night with files and mails. Now I'm lounging. I'm probably reading or watching TV or listening to the news. And
have you been able to take a vacation? What's your favorite city?
Well, I'm actually on vacation now, and vacation for me is home, really. Rest and do what you like. My favorite city, Lagos, of course.
I love that.
But do you still play? I remember you used to love football a lot. Do you still play it?
I started playing again. As I said, I was in some discomfort with my back, and I think resting in the last 7 months since June has helped. Some therapy. So I've started playing again as part of my regime for exercise and wellness.
Okay. I need to ask, what do you love most about Lagos?
Well, I guess it's the city that created me. This was where I was born. This was where my most enduring memories of youthful life was made. This was where I met Roots when we used to go and party in Badagry Beach over 4 decades ago. So this was a don't hide your face. So many things, so many good memories of Lagos.
Okay, they say you can tell a lot about a person's character by the impression they make on those that they left behind. So reflecting on your sojourn in both state and federal levels, what advice would you give to current politicians about maintaining authenticity and staying grounded amidst the bad trappings of power?
Well, I don't think that anything qualifies me to give advice to any person in public service. I can only share my experience and to say that, well, being very authentic, understanding that there is an office, and that is what many people see, but there's also a job, and that is the reason why we're all there. That job requires us to impact people, to provide service, and that's why it's called public service. And if one remains true and authentic to themselves, then I don't think that they will fall far away from the expectations.
What still connects you to government today, inclusive of the benefits that you still receive from having served the country for over 20 years?
Okay, so the benefit I get is, I think, 577,000 naira monthly pension from Lagos State. That's all I get. So, and in spite of all the stories that we got several billions of, I've come out to deny that repeatedly.
But is that a lifelong benefit?
The Lagos one?
Well, I don't know how long it will last, but I still get it every month.
Okay.
So it's 577,000. That's all I get.
No federal
No.
benefits?
No, at all.
In your book, Nigerian Public Discourse, which I found quite interesting to read, you said individuals who have not had the opportunity to visit our country may formulate erroneous impressions about our prevailing circumstances in the most unflattering terms. But whether we like it or not, the Japa syndrome is a living proof of just how dire things have become. So having served in government, if you could talk to a younger version of yourself today, someone who is disillusioned about the state of the country, what would you tell him?
I think the first place to start from is to understand that our world has changed so radically with the onset of globalization and with the increasing penetration, global penetration of the internet and the World Wide Web. And therefore, people can interact with places quicker than they used to 40 years ago. Therefore, Japa syndrome or whatever syndrome is not a measure of how bad or how good. The world is imminently migratory now. People are moving and traveling at a pace perhaps never witnessed before in the history of human evolution. And migration is taking place even from, there was a study, a report last week that there were migrants to a part of the global north from the second richest economy in the world, and they're wondering, what are you people doing here? People are moving. But the point to make is, and that is the point I try to address in the book, which is the exaggerations, as I call them, the hyperbole, and perhaps the way we speak about ourselves. Most of the negative epithets or colorations about our country has come from us, not from outsiders. And I just ask us, and I hope that we can look in the mirror and have a different conversation about ourselves. And perhaps also is the tendency that I perceive to conflate government with country. And I think that I wanted to make the point that we should separate them. Governments are going to come and go. Governments are going to perform. Some are going to disappoint us. Well, when they disappoint us, it is not our country that has let us down. It is our elite, our elected leaders, and we shouldn't throw our country under the bus because I'm angry with a politician or a particular era.
But you cannot ignore the fact that Japa is existing because
No, I'm not ignoring
we have lost most of our best hands because of the situation of the country today.
I agree.
I'm sure there are people who
are migrating.
Yes, but they're migrating more because the government have not given us good policies to make us live in Nigeria comfortably. We cannot, as much as you say government,
the causative factors perhaps leap at us because of the quality of life. But the truth is that those who have actually left, what quality of life have they gone on to? Are things better for them? So, and that's a matter around which the jury is out. I met somebody recently at a restaurant in Lagos, and he was clearly European, and he's working with some of our governments about Nigerians who had migrated, who want to come back home, and he's helping to bring them back home. And he gave me the number. It was quite a staggering number of people he has helped. He has brought back,
still run back
that again. He has brought back.
But there are those who have still gone, no matter how desperate.
And then you had people who have gone on these migratory expeditions, saved up quite a tidy sum, and go there only to experience a very difficult life and come back to say, I wish I hadn't done this, because the money I made there is not as much as the money I left here, if it was a financial reason. I've had people who have traveled, and I'm not saying every experience has been negative, so don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. But I've had people who have also gone there and who have now called back home to say, oh, can you send me some money from here?
Right.
And I've asked the question, oh, if this place was not good enough to live in, is the money good enough to take?
Your examples
So there are choices that...
Yeah, but that is an open...
And those are individual choices. So she asked me, for example, which is my favorite city. I said, this is Lagos.
It's your choice, right?
So, and this is a question of choice, because even before all of this came up, in my family, for example, I had siblings who studied abroad. I was the one who refused. I'm not going abroad. I wanted to go to school here. And that didn't mean that there were no difficulties then.
But not as much as it is now.
Oh, life is about relativity.
You gave good examples, but those are usually minorities. If we really look at the numbers, the ones that are trying to return, the figures, so it's very less amount of people trying to return than those that are trying to japa.
Yeah.
So when we look at your passion before you went into politics, before I get into that, there are people who go into politics for personal gain, for monetary benefits, but there are some that now go in because they have the genuine passion for change. We're hoping yours is the latter. So when you look at your passion when you started politics to your passion today for Greater Nigeria, do you still have a strong passion and believe that Nigeria can be where we all want it to be?
My dream about Nigeria, the Nigeria of my dreams, the place where every person's dream can come true, never ends, and it is the driving force behind my offering in that book about the fulfillment of the possibility of the Nigeria of my dreams. And I think that some of the suggestions that I offer there perhaps will provoke people to reflect on choices that we have made and choices that we may make going forward.
So you say your passion then is still the same passion?
Oh, without a doubt,
today.
without a doubt. I am an optimist and I believe a sensible one at that. And I think that in spite of ourselves, when I look back and I see where we are, we're sailing with against headwinds now. But I think that in the future we will have some wind behind our sails.
Some say if you don't know the value of loyalty, you will never understand the damage of betrayal. For the last 2 decades, of course, you've been working in an environment filled with banana peels and landmines in terms of trust and betrayal. So has this experience changed your mindset? And has it made you trust people less? What have you learned from working in such
cutthroat environment?
Yes.
Well, you see, I don't see issues of betrayal in that sense, and also issues of loyalty. Well, it depends on how people see it. For me, every time that people have acted in a way that I find unexpected, I have told myself, this is part of your learning.
Okay.
This is supposed to bring out a better version of you. So deal with it.
Okay.
So I'm not holding my head and wringing my hand in pain. It's like, so I'm being taught a lesson of life. I am the leader, or I am the part of this team, depending on where you find yourself, and deal with it and move on.
Okay. What philanthropic activities are you endearing towards moving forward?
Well, my mindset does not allow me to discuss philanthropy in that sense. I think philanthropy is a covenant between you and God, and when you are doing charity work and all of those things, they are not things that, in my view, should be publicized and advertised and helping. Well, not necessarily. Even the foundation word has been flogged. Everybody has a foundation, but one of the things that interests me, of course, is helping the process of leadership development and leadership recruitment, especially in this public space. And that is something that I find really, really exciting, and hoping perhaps that whatever experience I have acquired can be beneficial to another set of younger people who are starting out or are in the midst of their own political journey.
That's a good one. Everyone has a to-do list. I mean, you've been governor, you've been minister. Do you have any boxes left? Because for some people, they fill their boxes at a relatively young age, like you. But I don't know whether you have more boxes left on your to-do list that you want to do. So if you do, can you share some of it with us?
Well, I think to the extent that life continues to evolve, in terms of political choices and all of that, I don't look too far ahead of myself. What is uppermost for me now is to reintegrate myself back as a citizen into my community and get on with life at that level. So I don't look too far ahead of myself politically.
Okay. You're looking very fine at your age, or young. What can we say? What are some tips that you use to take care of your health and make sure that you're fit and strong?
Football for
Well,
one.
thank you very much. Sports generally, and I think that thankfully, knock on wood, good genes passed on from parenting, and I think just trying to be moderate in everything, and it can be a very brutal and bruising environment if you concentrate on the job. So I always told myself, I always promised myself with one of my colleagues that we won't let this job damage our health, because people seldom see the amount of work that is in public service. It's really, really unforgiving work. And I told people that before I came into public service, from my other life as a legal practitioner, nobody could fairly accuse me of being lazy. But in the public service, I've never worked as hard as I have done in public service in my life. It's really unforgiving work.
For generations listening to this conversation years from now, is there any wisdom that you want to pass on to them? What would you want them to learn about serving Nigeria, and also about being patriotic about Nigeria, against all odds, as the case may be?
Well, I think that to the extent that Nigeria is our motherland, home country, place of refuge, the necessity for patriotism, in my view, is not a debate we can have. It's not open to debate. We just must be patriots. And in that process, we continue the work of building the best version of our country that we want by ourselves and for ourselves. In terms of public service, people who are looking, I think essentially is to stay true to oneself. Ego can be and often is the enemy, and we need individual authenticity. We need individual validation. We must not look for others or things to validate ourselves. We must be original and authentic in our thoughts and in our actions, and there must be clear principles, things that you want to get known for, that these are the values that will fly, will not fly with A or B, and those are the things that bring out our real authenticity, not all of those flimsy.
Another last question before we go, because I know that behind all this governor's stern exterior, there's a playful side of you.
Oh yes, without a doubt.
So what kind of music do you listen to? What do you do to enjoy yourself when you really, really want to unwind?
So okay, I listen to all sorts of music. By the way, I like music generally. I listen to high life. I listen to jazz. I listen to
Do you like amapiano?
Juju and all of that. And lately, I've been listening to Yusuf Olatunji in the last few months.
What kind of music does he play?
Sakara.
What's Sakara?
Sakara.
Very authentic.
Is that like
African,
a Salawa Abeni kind of music?
Almost, yes.
Oh, okay.
Those were the precursors of modern day Fuji.
Really?
The Fuji is probably a genre that veered away with its origins around Sakara, the local fiddle.
What about the likes of Davido, Whiskey?
Oh yes, I listen to all their songs. I'm unavailable and all of that. I listen to my kids, and my wife is the music champion in the house. So once there's a new one, she says, "Yeah, come and listen to this," and this is how they dance it.
But our musicians are doing so well. When it comes to promoting our brand.
And that is really part of the patriotism. They are flying our flags in the most rarefied places. And all of us must understand that not only are they doing their own version of the work, we must get on and go and do our own version of the work with our own contribution. So we hobble their efforts. We undermine the efforts, then when we go and do some funny cyber fraud and all of that, we bring down all their collective effort, and those are the kind of things that we should stop. The work that you do here is adding value to that work, and so this is part of the patriotism that we talk about.
What about books? Do you read? What kind of books are you reading? Are you reading anything?
Okay, right now I'm reading something about artificial intelligence. I read about 3 or 4 books at a time. I'm reading something about former American presidents also. So I read in all sorts of places. So I have books I read when I'm traveling. I have books I read when I'm in my study. I have books I read when I'm in my bathroom.
Congratulations on your upcoming book in a few weeks.
And the good thing too is that at least this time you can walk alone. You don't have entourage of 20 people following you or 20 cars following you. Your movement now is much easier these days, isn't it?
Well, my movement has always been easy. I'm not. Yes, I'm not in your face. For 8 years, I never used a siren in Lagos, and we walked through the traffic. We managed it.
So you lived like us, the men motels.
Oh yes, I was in traffic. I was in traffic all through the period people were in traffic. If I was there, we stayed there together. Yes,
that's fascinating.
Because my parents always told me, don't take what you cannot afford because somebody else is paying for it.
Okay, that's true. That's a
Just stay grounded.
On that note,
stay grounded.
My very, very, very dear governor, I am really honored that you accepted my invitation. I am so happy that you're here with us today, and I hope that we will get to interview you again sometime in the near future. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. Glad to have you today.
Thank you so much.